This is the story of Peterbot.
You gotta put this together. He's 300 mad, 100.
Oh my god! Someone call the police!
163 HP. 35 white, 25 white.
Wow! Someone call an ambulance! Oh my god!
Peterbot, the kid who is known to have aim but actually used to be a controller player back in the day. Peterbot started playing the game in Chapter 1 Season 2, just having fun with friends like everyone else who played the game, but Peterbot obviously had so much more potential than all of his friends. In the start of Peterbot's competitive career, he played some online division cups and didn't really have any good performances. And he skipped out on the World Cup back in 2019. Peterbot really started to compete whenever FNCS came out, getting some decent placements around the top 1000 mark. Now that we were coming into Chapter 2, Peterbot quit console and switched to keyboard, and FNCS became squads. Peterbot really had mid-performances throughout Chapter 2 Season 1 to Chapter 2 Season 4. Peterbot picked up a few $100s from the Frosty Frenzy. But this next FNCS in Chapter 2 Season 5 would have his turning point. His placements would suddenly improve like crazy, which was something barely any people could do. Going from top 1000 placements to consistently top 50 placements, this was crazy and qualified Peterbot to the semi-finals. This didn't mean that Peterbot was suddenly a god, and he failed to qualify to Grands that season. But next season Peterbot improved even more, getting third in one of the qualifiers. Peterbot still just barely failed to go to the Grand Finals, but he is getting closer very fast. Now FNCS All-Stars was coming up, and Peterbot was qualified to compete. This would be Peterbot's best placement so far by a long shot. Peterbot would get 8th place, earning him an insane $18,000, easily making this event triple Peterbot's earnings. Peterbot would then get picked up by Pigot, a very popular streamer, which would change Peterbot's Fortnite career forever. Peterbot ended up winning this semi-finals. Compared to his 8th last season, Peterbot was still improving, but that couldn't get him a FNCS win, and he got 11th in his first Grand Finals, very good for his first one. But right after this Peterbot would split with Pigot, which made some people mad at him, but Pigot didn't give him any backlash. But since FNCS was still trios, Peterbot teamed up with Buck and Macwood. They would make finals pretty easily, getting a first in semi-finals round 1. But in the finals they did nitrogen monoxide better and got 11th place. But Peterbot stayed with Buck and Macwood for Grand Royale. Wait, if you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button, as in trying really hard to hit 100 subscribers. Thank you. Now that Grand Royale has started, Peterbot had very consistent placements, around top 10 in all of the qualifiers, but in the finals, he surpassed expectations yet again, earning $28,000 and getting 4th place in the Grand Royale. But after this, Fortnite turned into Chapter 3 and Peterbot teamed up with Agent Quanti, and they ended up getting 10th in that FNCS Grand Finals, Peterbot's best trios FNCS performance. After this performance, Peterbot teamed up with a rising Fortnite player Byla, and this duo was quickly rising in the placements, getting first in the first FNCS qualifiers, and take a guess, they got first in Grand Finals, also putting an end to the Bugha and Mero triple FNCS run in the process. Peterbot practically carried Byla to this win, which gave Peterbot his first FNCS win. Now Chapter 3 Season 3 FNCS was starting, and Peterbot and Byla didn't come short at all, getting a 6th place, which Peterbot was still pretty much carrying Byla. No hate to Byla, of course, the next FNCS didn't happen, but FNCS Invitational did. Byla didn't come to the Invitational because of so-called personal reasons. Peterbot played with his pro friend Jamper, and this was a terrible performance. Peterbot got 37th, and even got dead last in the first day. After this disappointing performance, Fortnite switched into Chapter 4. Peterbot teamed up with the World Cup champion Bugha, but this did not turn out to be the dream team like everyone expected them to, and they got a really disappointing 16th in the Grand Finals. This didn't make Peterbot give up at all though, and Peterbot teamed back up with Quanti, and they had another decent performance like the last time they teamed up in Grands, this time being a place higher than they got last time, getting 9th place this Grands. But after that performance, IT again wasn't enough for Peterbot's standards and he teamed up with a pretty unknown player named Larson. This didn't go like Byler did at all and he got 18th in Grands with Larson. Peterbot was not happy with this. Now that Fortnite was coming into Chapter 5, Peterbot teamed up with Polo. This duo would create history permanently. In the Chapter 5 Season 1 FNCS they would get second place, losing to Acorn and Cold that season. But now the Greek season was starting up, and Peterbot and Polo won every single Cash Cup, and in one of the Cash Cup finals they won every single game in the Cash Cup finals. This was absolutely insane, and blew everyone away. But Peterbot and Polo had even more to show by winning Grands by over 300 points, and getting over 1000 points. Now currently Peterbot and Polo are on track to either win Grands or almost 100% get top 3, competing for the win with Clicks and Veno, Batman Bugha and Rapid and Tayson and Iomzo. Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about the story of Veno, the curly-haired goat of Fortnite. Back in Chapter 2 Season 3, Veno would compete in his first FNCS in Chapter 2 Season 3, and he would do really good for his first time, but barely miss out on finals. But hey, at least he made semi-finals. After that disappointing performance for Veno, he hoped to do a lot better in Chapter 2 Season 4, where he did the opposite of do better and didn't get past Week 2, which was very disappointing for Veno. Veno didn't give up though and teamed up with Nofa and Paddy, and they ended up barely qualifying for Grand Finals with 8th in the semi-finals. They did it and placed great for the first Grand Finals they had together, getting a 20th. After this the trio split and he would get picked up by Aqua, the Duo World Cup winner and CRR, but Veno would then get banned for buying his account for better skins, which was really disappointing for Veno. But this didn't mean his journey ended, as he just had to create a new account to be fine again. But Veno couldn't play that FNCS, but the solo All-Stars was coming up, and Veno was qualified for it. Veno then did what nobody expected. Yes, Veno ended up getting a second in the solo All-Stars, barely missing out on winning, losing to the now 5 times FNCS champion, Tayson. This was a disappointment as he didn't win, but it was still an amazing performance and won him a huge $120,000, easily the most amount of money Hayes ever got from a tournament. After this, Veno's motivation was better than ever coming into the Chapter 2 Season 7 FNCS, where the solo All-Stars winner Tayson decided to team up with Veno along with Rizon. They won for qualifier rounds, then coming into the finals, they got a decent 5th place, which was a pretty good performance, but not for Tayson, Rizon or Veno, so Veno split with Rizon and Tayson and played with Mongraal and Jofun for Chapter 2 Season 8, but they didn't even qualify to Grand Finals. Now that Grand Royale was starting up, Veno tried out a lot of different teammates, but couldn't qualify to the Grand Finals with any of them. So coming into Chapter 3, Veno was hoping to have better performances, so he teamed up with Jofun hoping to win the FNCS, but they came short, only getting 12th place that FNCS, Veno and Joe split. Veno then decided to play with Aqua again. The Duo World Cup winner, IT, was looking very good for them as they were placing incredibly consistently in the qualifiers. And turns out, they ended up not coming short to everybody's expectations, being even better than that, getting a 1st place, getting Veno his first FNCS win, which was great for him and Veno's motivation skyrocketed. But then Aqua split with Veno because of his hand problems, so Veno decided to play with Queasy, and trust me, this was a good decision. You'll see later on, coming into this FNCS they were looking great and they did just that, getting a third place, which is very decent, so the duo stayed together. Since they were qualified to FNCS Invitational, Veno and Queasy went there and had an absolutely amazing performance, getting second place, just behind Seti and Commie. Earning $140,000, Veno and Queasy seemed like one of the best duos the Fortnite community has ever seen so far. So coming into chapter for Season 1, they were hoping for a win but barely came short, getting a 4th place, winning them both $40,000. But trust me, here is where what I said earlier comes into play. In chapter for Season 2, Veno and Queasy needed that FNCS win. They won week 2 of FNCS and got 3 RD in week 1. They were ready for the finals, and they surpassed everyone's, and I mean everyone's expectation with this performance. Veno and Queasy won 6 out of 12 games, still the most wins out of 12 games to this day, followed up by Peterbot and Polo. This was insane and got Veno his 2nd FNCS win. I don't think there will ever be dominance like this in another FNCS finals ever again, so Veno and Queasy made history in this FNCS forever. But next FNCS, the most unexpected thing happened. They didn't even qualify for grand finals. Yes, you heard me right, they didn't even qualify to semi-finals. This was insane for everyone to see. This is the most unique to FNCS performances back to back, from winning 6 out of 12 games to not making heats. Veno and Queasy split after this and Veno teamed up with Tayson. Coming into chapter 5 now, Veno and Tayson wanted to win their 3rd and 6th FNCS. They got 2nd in semi-finals and then on the first day of grands, Veno and Tayson got 2nd. But on the 2nd day they had a terrible performance, getting 36th, giving them an overall 15th place. But Veno and Tayson surprisingly didn't split and played the next FNCS together, where they got 11th, at least better than their previous performance. Now currently this season, Veno and Clicks are dominating almost every tournament and they are one of the favourites to win. Subscribe if you think they will win FNCS, and if not, leave a comment down below who you think will win. Peace out. Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about the story of Mero, the GOAT of Fortnite, respected by nearly everyone. This guy has gotten 6 FNCS wins, which is insane. We will be talking about how he started in Fortnite and how he got to where he is now. Back when Mero started his Fortnite journey, he didn't play competitively, only playing casually with his friends. But Mero was a lot better than his friends, so much better that he could get a win nearly every time he played. But he started playing competitively in Season 9, in the World Cup qualifiers. But he only played duos week 6 and got a depressing performance of 9,159th. Mero didn't quit competitive though, and 3 months later, he played his next tournament, which was the Chapter to Season 1 Squad's FNCS warm-up, where he had a decent performance, getting 818th. Not a bad performance compared to his last performance, but this wasn't enough for Mero, so he kept grinding. He only played week 3 and week 4 though of that FNCS, getting 700th and 200th in those weeks, but not qualifying to the finals. But in the solo platform Cash Cup, he got his first earnings, getting his best placement, getting 58th. Mero was getting better really fast compared to everyone else, earning $200 from that Cash Cup. He was getting more motivated by the day, and he played the Winter Royale, earning another $400 from it, then earning $250 from the solo Cash Cup. But in Chapter to Season 2, he played the duos test event and had an amazing performance, getting a 1st and a 3rd in the tournament. Being so much better than his past performances super quick, Mero only played 1 week of FNCS again, getting 500th, but in the platform solo Cash Cup, Mero got 1st, earning $2,000. FNCS Invitational then started, and Mero actually qualified to the finals, having stable placements, even getting 2nd in one of the qualifiers. In the heats where you actually got earnings, Mero got $4,350 from those. Then as he qualified to the finals, he had a pretty disappointing performance, getting a light $500, at least for Mero, and Fortnite competitive that was pretty light, so Mero kept on the grind. Now that chapter to season 3 started, FNCS became solos, and he was a lot more serious on the game. Mero had amazing placements, earning around $3,000 from the qualifiers, but he had a really disappointing finals placement, getting 61st. Mero didn't give up and kept playing, teaming up with Day and Reverse for the chapter to season for FNCS. This trio would be one of the most legendary team-ups in Fortnite history, with them winning the Noise to FNCS. This was huge for all three of them, and of course, this duo stayed together after this and had another amazing performance in the next FNCS, getting 4th place. This trio was one of the top trios to keep your eyes on. And of course, with the chapter to season 6 FNCS coming up, Mero, Day and Reverse proved that by winning FNCS again, this trio was literally unstoppable if they kept this up. But the next FNCS, they didn't keep it up, sadly, with them having a big disappointment, not even getting top 10, getting a 15th this tournament. After this performance, those three decided to split up, and Mero teamed up with Bugha and Moose, and Mero did it again. The next FNCS, Mero won his 3rd FNCS title. This was just insane for Mero, with him being one of the only players with this much FNCS wins. Even now, barely any pros have this much FNCS titles. Right after this FNCS win, Bugha and Mero decided to stay together but split with Moose, and they ended up picking Duquez, a rising player. The FNCS Grand Royale then starts, and you know IT, Mero, Bugha and Duquez won IT, giving Mero his now 4th FNCS win. The next FNCS was then duos, so Bugha and Mero stayed together. They qualified through the qualifiers, and of course, yet again, for the 3rd time in a row, they won it, getting a 1st with Bugha. It seemed like nothing could stop Mero, except for 2 people, Peterbot and Bugha. Peterbot and Bugha won by over 50 points, and centered and cold tied with Mero and Bugha for 2nd place. The run of FNCS wins stopped there, but then again this was still an amazing performance. And Mero wouldn't stop placing amazingly, winning one of the week 1 qualifiers and qualifying to the FNCS finals, but they just barely came short again, getting a 2nd place. The FNCS Invitational then started, and Bugha and Mero placed a terrible 36th, resulting in them splitting up. Mero then teamed up with Edgy, but this didn't seem like the right fit for him, as he got a 36th, as Mero's motivation was getting lower. He risked it all on a coin flip for who he would duo with, and it turned out that would be Cooper, a rising pro with barely anything earned. Those two would get 2nd place in FNCS Major 2, qualifying themselves into the FNCS Invitational 2023. And in Major 3 FNCS they would also get a 9th place. They were great as a duo, and they proved this more by doing what nobody thought was possible, winning the Fortnite Global Championship with Cooper, giving Mero his 6th FNCS win. Coming into Chapter 5, Mero was still doing with Cooper, and they got a 9th, but still split, as this wasn't good enough for either of them. Mero then started doing with Dukes, and they got a depressing 19th in Chapter 5 Season 2. This season Mero is doing with Pink, and IT doesn't look like the outlook is a win, but IT seems like, from what I've seen, it's possible he might duo with Bugha again, and that might just be IT to win his 7th FNCS. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment and maybe even share, as it would really help me out. But you don't need to if you don't want to. Love you guys. Bye. Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about the 6 times FNCS champion and probably the greatest of all time, Tayson, also known as Tayson. When Tayson first started out on Fortnite competitive, he didn't have that good of tournament placements at all, not even getting top 100 throughout the World Cup, and before, in the Blackheart Cup, he got 1749th. In the World Cup warm-up, he actually got some earnings, getting $175. In the qualifiers, he earned some more money, earning around $2K by the end of the World Cup qualifiers, as Tayson did not qualify to solos or duos. But then the new huge tournament that would happen every season would come out, the Fortnite Champions Series, also known as FNCS, the first FNCS first being announced in Season X. Tayson didn't even qualify to the grand finals, being a very disappointing performance, but then again he wasn't a very big player back then. Nobody expected much from him, but trust me here, this was just the start. As FNCS then became squads, Tayson would team up with 3 other rising pros, but as I don't know who any of them are now, they must have not made it that far, no offense. But anyway, they actually did decently good, giving Tayson his best FNCS performance so far, getting a 7th in the finals, which isn't that bad of a performance at all. The next FNCS in Chapter 2 Season 2 would then become duos, and Tayson would team up with Janice and did good in qualifiers. But in the finals they got a disappointing 33rd, but then the FNCS Invitationals would arrive, and Tayson would get a 5th place, proving that his strong suit was solos. And as the next FNCS was solos, Tayson would prove that he really was the best solo player in Fortnite at that time. Tayson would dominate the Chapter 2 Season 3 FNCS qualifiers, then win his heat, and as you could have all predicted, he won the grand finals, getting his first FNCS win in his career. Tayson had more motivation than ever as the next season became Chapter 2 Season 4, he teamed up with Mongraal and Metro, dropping at the most odd point next to Grimgate, Stark Industries. And obviously, they dominated that FNCS 2, getting first place, making Tayson the first player on Europe to win 2 FNCS in a row, which is crazy. After this they surprisingly split, and Tayson teamed up with MrSavage and Idrop in Chapter 2 Season 5. And they got 8th. But of course Tayson saw an 8th, which would be a dream for me because I suck as terrible, so he split with those 2. As MrSavage and Idrop didn't work out, he teamed up with Nate and Fazur, and they ended up performing really well, getting a 3rd place in Chapter 2 Season 6. But as the next FNCS became trios, he teamed up with Razon and Veno for Chapter 2 Season 7. Tayson ended up getting a 7th in the finals with Razon and Veno. But of course, that was also super bad for Tayson, so he split with Veno but ended up picking up Uguay. After that, those 3 got a 16th in FNCS finals, and Tayson dropped Razon but stayed with Uguay, and he teamed up with Nitro to compete in the Grand Royal FNCS. And Tayson did the impossible with those 2, winning the Grand Royale, the biggest Chapter 2 FNCS to happen that entire chapter, earning Tayson a huge $200,000. Fortnite then switched into Chapter 3, and FNCS became duos. Tayson teamed up with Tom Asht, a big pro with over 1 million views on Fortnite Tracker and 140,000 subscribers on YouTube. They had high hopes going into this FNCS and got a 2nd in semi-finals, and then going into the semi-finals, they had high hopes. But they failed to win the finals, but still got a decent 3rd place. But Tayson then dropped Thomas and started doing with his old trio partner, Uguay. Coming into Chapter 3 Season 2, him and Uguay did great, getting a 2nd place, and since Tayson did good with Uguay, he stayed with Uguay. But then in Chapter 3 Season 3, they had a very disappointing performance, and his worst since Chapter 2 Season 3, getting a 23rd place, so he then split with Uguay, and then for Chapter 4, he teamed up with Merstack, and they dominated the qualifiers, and then won the finals by literally 1 point against their old duos, Tomasht and Malabuka. Because of this performance, Merstack and Tayson stayed together for the Chapter for Season 2 FNCS, getting 2nd place in this FNCS, another great performance. So he actually stayed with HIS duo for more than 2 seasons for the first time, but of course not for long, as they had a pretty bad performance for Tayson's standards, getting a 16th place. So Tayson split with Merstack and teamed up with Veno for Chapter 5, but they did really bad for Tayson's standards, getting a 15th place. But surprisingly, Tayson stayed with Veno, but this wasn't a good decision like he expected, and they got 11th place. But currently, Tayson is doing with Ionzo, and they have been getting really good consistent placements. I think they will probably win FNCS this season. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, as I would really appreciate it. Goodbye.
This is the story of MrSavage, one of the greatest Fortnite players of all time. Since MrSavage was a baby, he grew up in Norway and was an extremely competitive person in every aspect. He would always compete against his older brother, and when Fortnite came out, his older brother introduced him to it, and they would play together. But MrSavage was so much better than everyone else in the game. Even early on when he started, he could beat nearly everyone else so easily. MrSavage would also stream and upload YouTube videos, gaining a decent amount of followers, but not streaming and not uploading that much either, mostly focusing on just playing the game or getting better. But as MrSavage would actually continue streaming and uploading more and more, he eventually got signed to the Big NRG Sports org. But for MrSavage to start playing competitive Fortnite, he had to be 16, but in his luck Fortnite released online tournaments and made the age requirements 13. So he could actually play, but most of the cups were duos, so he teamed up with another rising pro, BenjyFishy. He did decently good with BenjyFishy, getting 11th in the Fortnite Gauntlet, 18th in the Scallywag Cup, and a 6th in the Looks Cup. All decent placements, but not super good. This wasn't enough for Savage and Benji though. Around this time, the Fortnite World Cup would be announced, and they would already have an amazing start, placing first in the World Cup warm-up. But no, Savage and Benji wouldn't end there, as they got first in duos week 2 and 4th in solo week 5, and were qualified for duos 2 more times, which is insane. Benji and Savage really were a savage duo. You get my joke, right? No? Okay, I guess not. Anyway, as they both qualified to the World Cup, Savage did not perform well, being a 29th in solos, but in duos he did decent, getting a 14th with Benji. No extra money, but still not a terrible performance from them, both as Savage could have done way worse. It wasn't too bad. After this disappointing performance, Benji and Savage decided that it would be best to split from each other. After the World Cup, a new tournament started called Fortnite Championship Series, also known as FNCS. Savage needed to find a new duo he had good chemistry with and fast. MrSavage tried multiple different people, but he eventually decided to run this trios FNCS with Royo and another kid. They ended getting a decent performance of 7th place and then split with each other. As the next FNCS was squad, Savage decided to team up with Valeu, Caxi, and Tohaj, and they got a 7th place. Savage split with them again. Fortnite then became Chapter to Season 2, and FNCS then became duos and decided to team up with Idrup, and this decision didn't help much, as he got a 12th place and had to split again. FNCS Invitationals then happened, and Savage got a 15th place, which isn't bad, but isn't that good either. As Chapter to Season 3 started, MrSavage got his own cup, which was pretty cool, along with Mongraal and Benji. A very good choice of people to give cups to. Anyway, for this FNCS, IT was solos, and Savage had his worst performance, yet getting a 57th place. For Chapter to Season, for Savage finally teamed up with Benji again, and for the third player they picked up Lechi, and they got a decent 8th place in the FNCSE finals this season. Savage hadn't even gotten a top 5 in FNCS, which had to be pretty disappointing, but he still kept playing the game and grinding, which would hopefully pay off. MrSavage teamed up with the now 6x FNCS winner Tayson and brung Idrup into the trio. He just couldn't get a top 5, and he placed 8th, splitting with Tayson and Idrup. Savage just couldn't find the right fit for him. Next FNCS, he teamed up with Refsguard and Indretta, which wouldn't be a decision he would regret, as he placed 2nd. His highest placement, yet easily beating every single other FNCS placement Hayes had, so he stayed with the duo he had for the first time in his entire history of FNCS. But of course, this wouldn't last long, as the next FNCS he had with them, he placed 11th. Not a good performance for Savage standards, so he split with Refsguard and Via and stayed with Indretta, but actually played with his former duo BenjyFishy again. But of course, this didn't go well for Savage, and he got to 3 RD. But he stayed with the same duo surprisingly, and in Grand Royale they would get a very disappointing 15th. In the next FNCS it would become duos, and he would duo with BenjyFishy, and they would get Savage's worst performance, yet getting a 36th. He continued to play with Benji, and next FNCS he got a 45th, Then Benji quit Fortnite competitive, so Savage needed to find a new trio because FNCS was trios again, where he decided to trio with Nitro and Kaboom, and they got a 26th. Things were looking terrible for Savage around this point, as the past 3 FNCS finals, he hasn't even gotten a top 20. As FNCS changed game modes to duos again, he duoed with Idrup for the 1,000,000th time and got 32nd. Another terrible performance. So he split with Idrup and played with Vidil and actually got a top 10 placement, getting 8th place. Next FNCS with Vidil, he got 43rd, but then Savage would finally make a comeback, getting 1st place in the last chance major. Fortnite OG then started, and there was no FNCS. Fast forward to Chapter 5 Season 1, and MrSavage decided to duo with Mongraal. He had a really bad performance with Mongraal, but didn't split with him. I honestly think this might not be for competitive sake and for content creation, or because they are just really good friends, because the next FNCS Savage didn't even qual to Grands for the first time. But they still haven't split, and they have moved to NA to try to qualify for LAN. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe, share and comment maybe. I worked hard on this video, so it would be appreciated. Hello everyone! Today, we will be talking about the story of Bugha, the face of Fortnite. His name is so deep in Fortnite history, where people literally say "Hey's Bugha" whenever someone is incredibly good or sweaty. Bugha was born in Pennsylvania. Back when he was young, his dad had absolutely loved video games, and his dad found the game called Fortnite, but he found it so early on, it was still in its Save the World edition, and Battle Royale had not even released yet. His dad then introduced him to Fortnite, and Bugha started playing it a lot, but then in September, the Battle Royale version released, and all of his friends joined the game, and everyone in the world, almost, who played Battle Royale games got quickly addicted. When Bugha and all of his friends played, it was so early into the game no competitive events were released, but Bugha had great accomplishments even before this by killing Hamlin, a very popular Fortnite streamer back then. In 2018, competitive tournaments came around, but Bugha still couldn't play because the age was under 16, just like almost all of the super iconic Fortnite pro players we know and love now. And the tournaments that were there he couldn't even compete in because they were invite only. But eventually Fortnite lowered the age requirement. Then Bugha started competing, but Bugha wasn't doing good in the tournaments at all, barely making $100, but somehow Bugha got signed to Sentinels right after this, which was insane, but also a great accomplishment and probably the biggest one at that point in his career, getting signed to an org that early and competitive. And then, the tournament that might be one of the biggest changes in his life forever was announced, the Fortnite World Cup. It was in 2 formats, solos and duos, so Bugha needed a duo. Bugha teamed up with Kuros, also a part of Sentinels. They didn't do that good in the qualifiers, with them getting a 6th in the first week, almost qualifying, and then failing to qualify, or even get close every single other week, making them not qualify. But solos was a different story for Bugha. In the first week of solos, Bugha got an amazing first, a 17th in week 2, and a 19th in week 5, earning him $7,600 in just the qualifiers for the World Cup. But this would be nothing for what he was about to earn in the actual thing. Bugha then flew over to New York to compete. Then, as we know, this happened.
It's back-to-back shots. Bugha picking up another elimination.
Bugha is insane
now. Almost going to be his game to win. We'll see here another one. Can he find the 9th elimination and the first victory royale, the World Cup solos?
Dr. Lupo, it might be time soon. It might be time soon. Bugha smiling. He's got the health advantage on Creo.
Does.
Folks, it might be time for the Shockwave play. Bugha can soar up into the sky. Go for it. Here it is. Shockwave died. Shots coming in. No elimination yet for the first game victory royale.
Oh my gosh. Confident play from Bugha.
This win got Bugha literally $3 million, and he won the World Cup by being almost double the points ahead of 2nd place, which is just insane. But after this, a new Fortnite tournament came out, the Fortnite Championship Series. But Bugha had a pretty disappointing performance in the first ever FNCS, which was trios. Bugha teamed up with Stretch and Clarity, and they got a 26th. Everyone expected so much more from Bugha. He won the World Cup just a season ago by the biggest dominance scene until this day in a solo tournament. Next season in Chapter to Season 1, which was Squads, Bugha got 21st place with Stretch Clarity and another person. In the Chapter to Season 2 F and CS it became duos, then Bugha teamed up with Stretch, and they got their best performance, yet getting a 5th place in the finals, which was a good performance. In FNCS Invitationals, Bugha had a very disappointing performance of 40th in it. The Chapter to Season 3 FNCS, which was solos where Bugha seemed to do best at, Bugha got a really good 4th place. Bugha seemed to be coming back to his prime era. Then in Chapter to Season 4, which was trios again, Bugha teamed up with Avery and Jamper, and he got a 3rd place, getting closer every FNCS since Chapter to Season 2 to getting his first win in his FNCS career. The next FNCS, Bugha teamed up with Clicks and Bugha, making the Bugha Bizzle Clicks duo, also known as the BBC duo. They then got a 5th in FNCS and split right after. The next 2 FNCS placements Bugha ended up getting were not that good at all except for his 8th place, which was mid, but then after this, he teamed up with Mero and Moose. In Session 1 they got 2nd, and in Session 2, they got 3rd, bringing the overall placements, putting Bugha, Mero and Moose in 1st place. This was Bugha's first ever FNCS win, but not his last. After this came the FNCS Grand Royale. They split with Moose and got Dukes to join their team. They competed in the FNCS Grand Royale and got an amazing 1st place. This duo was so incredibly dominant at this time it seemed like the best trio of all time. FNCS then became duos again, and Bugha stayed with Mero and they split from Dukes, and you might guessed it, but they won the next FNCS too. This duo was the best duo by far in the region so far, as they won 2 FNCS in a row together, and the Grand Royale together. This duo was insane. The next 2 seasons, they continued the dominance, getting a 3rd and a 2nd in the next 2 FNCS finals. This duo was still on a roll. After this though, the downfall would happen quickly, as they placed 40th in FNCS Invitational and split, ending the dominance of the Bugha and Mero duo. But after this, Bugha teamed up with Peterbot, one of the scariest North America fighters right now. Bugha then split with Peterbot right after when they had a bad FNCS performance. Bugha then tried doing with Threats, but they didn't do very well either, but not that bad, also getting a 5th place, which wasn't bad. So Bugha stayed with him, and this seemed like the right decision as they got 2nd place in the next FNCS. Then in the Fortnite Global Championship, Bugha got 36th place with Mero, which was nearly last, and since that this duo never came back. After this, Bugha teamed up with Avi, but for some reason split from him, after getting a 3rd in the Chapter 5 Season 1 FNCS. But after having a bad Chapter 5 season to placements with the Jers, he came back and seems to be ready to get a nice top 5 in this FNCS and pop off in the land. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as I worked really hard on this video and it took a while. Hello everyone! Today we will be talking about the myth, the man, the legend, Mongraal. Mongraal is known for his crazy Fortnite skills.
This new keyboard makes me edit slow.
His funny humor.
Sing, 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 sing! Why? Is that in the game? Sing, sing! Oh. Oh. Hey, GG's bro. Good fight, man. I really like having a balanced fight. GG.
Today we will be going over his journey as a gamer and how he got to where he was now. When Mongraal was younger, he played a lot of other games like Halo and Call of Duty. But new games start to become popular. Those were Battle Royale games. Of course, with Battle Royale games trending, Mongraal started to play games like H1Z1 and other games. But in late 2017, Mongraal found Fortnite and started to stream it, but not getting much viewers at all. Mongraal started to try really hard on the game and became leagues above everyone else incredibly fast due to raw talent and hard work. When the first tournaments started to come around, Mongraal destroyed nearly everyone else in them, getting a first and a fourth in the champion division, and right after getting a third and winning the Ilksu Cup, Mongraal was completely dominating everyone else in the scene. But as Mongraal was destroying everyone in comp, the biggest Fortnite tournament of all time with a $100 million prize pool, which is absolutely insane. To start it off, he got a third in the World Cup warm-ups, but then things weren't going well. He didn't qualify in the first 8 weeks, seeming like he wouldn't qualify for solos. But he already qualified for duos, with Mitro getting a second in week 2 and a third in week 8, a great performance duos-wise. But in the last week of solos, Mongraal created a crazy iconic clip in Fortnite even now.
No way can you survive in this situation.
Jamming himself underneath the structure, he might actually, his head might have been poking through the floor. He's staying just ahead, just out of sight. Does the player see him?
Yes,
I don't think so. The drop in. Gets the shot off and gets the elimination. Mongraal literally putting on a clinic of why you need to pay attention to what's going on.
Everybody,
are you kidding me?
Just fell.
Picks up 3 balls.
Launch pad, he's gonna launch pad off. Oh my goodness, are you serious? 13 eliminations, there's still 4 players left, including him. Add it down! No way are you doing this right now, Mongraal. No way, top 3 situation now. Gonna get the time for the minis. Still needs to find 2 more. Not sure who he's fighting. It's Alec on high ground and then Zur. Mongraal took down every single player that we talked about earlier in the lobby. And now reloading the double RPG as well. Zur's gonna go down in another one. Mongraal, are you kidding me? There is no way.
This was absolutely insane and qualified him to the Fortnite World Cup, where he showed everyone why he was one of the top players in Fortnite, getting a 6th in duos and a 13th in solos, taking home $375,000, which was just insane for a teenager like Mongraal to earn. After the Fortnite World Cup, Fortnite would launch the Fortnite Champion Series, also known as FNCS, getting 10th place in the finals of Season X with Benji and Mitro in Chapter 2 Season 1. FNCS became squads. Mongraal teamed up with Benji Nate and Wolfiez, where they got a 2nd place, which was great. In Chapter 2 Season 2, FNCS became duos and Mongraal and BenjyFishy teamed up and got a 15th in the Grand Finals. But the season after this was solos, where Mongraal got 16th, which wasn't a bad performance. But the season after this, which was trios, Mongraal cooked and got his first ever FNCS win, and also his last. All the next FNCS finals, Mongraal didn't even get a top 10. Eventually, whenever Grand Royale started, Mongraal had a decent performance, getting a 4th and a 20th, which is actually not that bad. But after this, Mongraal would quit the game after his last FNCS, where he didn't even qualify. But things weren't over yet, as a year later, he came back. He started doing with MrSavage, and they made Grand Finals one season and didn't qualify to the other. This season they moved from Europe to NA to try to qualify to the Fortnite Global Championship, which will be happening in September. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, as I worked hard on it. Please subscribe and comment if you enjoyed. Saya. Hello everyone! Today we will be talking about the story of the Fortnite pro BenjyFishy, but now currently a Valorant pro. We will be talking about his journey throughout gaming and how and why he quit. I hope you guys enjoy this video. When BenjyFishy was young, he loved competing with other people in sports and especially gaming. The first game he actually got introduced to was the game called CS:GO, also known as Counter-Strike. A first-person shooter game. Benji mostly played shooter games, and his first tournament he ever played in was CS:GO. When Benji was a baby, his mom was a single mother of 2 kids, as Benji's father sadly died when Benji was a baby. His mom, Mama BenjyFishy, who is also a Fortnite pro and even got her own Creator Cup, got 3 jobs, which was probably very hard for her. And she did this all for Benji to continue his dream. She is amazing for that. Everyone thank Mama Benji in the comments for her amazing work. Anyway, continuing our topic about BenjyFishy's gaming journey. After CS:GO, Benji joined the game we all know him for, Fortnite. This game would change his life as we know it, forever. Benji started to stream in 2018, but he barely streamed at all, mostly focusing on comp. But he could not even compete because he was under the age requirement, with back then it was 16 years old to compete. But after the Fortnite World Cup was announced, they made the age requirement only 13 years old, which made Benji now able to compete. In the World Cup warm-up, he placed 4th in qualifiers and an insane 1st in the finals. This earned him $1,000, and he also started to stream, becoming very famous around the Fortnite community. But Benji's journey would just get better and better from here, getting a 3rd in the solos week 1, $3,000, and a 1st in duos week 2, getting $5,000 with MrSavage. They proceeded to get decent placements throughout the qualifiers, Benji getting into solos and duos in the World Cup, getting a decent 14th in duos and 25th in solos. Not a bad performance, but no extra money, getting him $100,000, which didn't seem to be good enough to him. The first ever FNCS that Benji competed in would start, which was trios. He would drop MrSavage and team up with Mongraal and Metro, creating the probably most iconic trio in Fortnite. In his first ever FNCS, in just the qualifiers, he earned $134,000 in total, which is insane. In the finals, he got a mid-10th place and took home $140,000 from the qualifiers and the finals. In the next FNCs, which was squads, he picked up Mongraal, Nate, and Wolfiez. This team got an amazing 2nd place in finals, Benji's best ever performance, but after ... came BenjyFishy's downfall. In the next FNCS, which was squads, he picked up Mongraal, Nate, and Wolfiez. This team got an amazing 2nd place in finals, Benji's best ever performance, but after came BenjyFishy's downfall. Next season, he would get a 15th with Mongraal, not a very good performance. And then after in FNCS Invitationals, it seemed like it got better as he destroyed the qualifiers getting to 1sts, but then in the finals, he got another disappointing 56th. Then in the next FNCS Finals, his worst performance so far in his career, he got a really bad 56th in Solo Grand Finals. Then in the next FNCS he got an 8th, then a 5th, which actually wasn't that bad. And then he didn't play the next FNCS, I don't think. Then he got a 25th in trios, not even in the top 50%, then a 3rd in trios. Benji couldn't even get top 10 in tournaments anymore. He got a decent 15th in Grand Royale, then a 36th in the next FNCS, and with all these bad performances, Benji played his last FNCS and got a 45th, which was his last tournament forever. Then he quit. He made a video on the topic, which I will show right now.
Yo, what is up, boys? I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible, but I am officially quitting competitive Fortnite to pursue Valorant. Recently, I've fell out of love with Fortnite. I used to be able to play Fortnite like 8-10 hours a day, but even last season I was only playing during the tournaments just because I really couldn't force myself to get on the game.
And after Benji quitting competitive Fortnite, he is now one of the best Valorant players. It's crazy how he was able to be a tier 1 pro into different huge games. Props to Benji. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, boys. I'm trying to get 100 subscribers. Peace out.